little out of the realm of what I do and maybe encourage someone to seek other types of counseling? Or is it, I guess one way of asking this differently is, are there certain personality types that might be drawn to the work you do?
Well, I would
that might
think
be
that's two different questions.
It is. So let's go with both of those.
Okay, the first one, have I ever felt in over my head? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And, my educational background is in social work. So if I feel in over my head, I refer them to a therapist, a psychologist, a social worker. I don't do readings for people who tell me when they call up that they're suicidal. I don't even see those people necessarily. I refer them on. I tell them, you need to call the suicide watch right now, for example.
Well, and that's great that you're telling me you have this actual professional background even that further qualifies you to make those determinations.
Well, somebody has to make those determinations, and sometimes the client is not in a state where they know that. The other part of it that I've noticed, and this is rare, but it does happen, sometimes people with mental illness use getting spiritual, quote unquote, as a way to avoid getting the help they need. So if I sense in any way that this is what is going on, I will probably decline to work with that person.
That's a really good point, because I've wondered that myself, and I guess one of the pieces of this question I asked earlier is, do some people ever use your spiritual guidance as sort of a crutch and wanting to come to you to make the decisions because they themselves don't want to have to make them, for example?
I think that some people might have that type of relationship with some psychics, but I will say overall the kinds of clients I have do not do that. I don't encourage that, even down to what I charge for a session. It's one of the reasons I don't believe in charging less for a session, because that would encourage that type of behavior. So it should be something you must think about, for example. And I also encourage them to make their own decisions, because I only get the information. I'm not responsible for what they decide with it. And my clients, overall, they are very intelligent people. They are deep thinkers, and they are drawn to this not as a crutch, but as, you might say, an empowerment tool.
Yeah, I would think so. It sounds good. It sounds real healthy is kind of the sense that I have, that
yes.
you're taking, first of all, you have the knowledge base to know this is outside of the realm of what I do as a spiritual psychic. You need additional help, or you need a different kind of help.
Yes.
But also you're not allowing them to use you as their crutch. So
right.
I picked up a little sense of there's all different kinds of psychics out there. So are there those that have kind of maybe tarnished the reputation of psychics, and what have they done to do that?
There might be. I hear that there is. I don't personally know any of them, but I hear stories. Most of the stories I hear are about people who are not really psychics. And I have heard some stories from a few of my clients who have gone to the, I don't want to blemish palm reading, because there's some very good palm readers. So I mean no offense about palm readers as a whole, but sometimes there are little places that say palm readings or psychic reading. I mean, we've probably seen these little places. And they have told people things that aren't true. You're under a curse. I need $500 to lift it.
Oh, gee.
Blah, blah, blah. And really, if you're really a semi-rational thinking person, you would know that's not true. But you also have to understand, if a person has had a lot of bad luck, I mean, if you've lost a lot of people, I've gone through a period in my life where 2 or 3 people died within 6 months. It's a little bit spooky.
Yes.
So they're very
You're
vulnerable.
Really searching. You're very, very vulnerable.
Right. So there are some people out there masquerading as psychics. And I would like to emphasize that I do not believe that those individuals are true psychics, although without having personally met each one, I can't say. They're certainly not spiritual psychics like what I do, because there would be a more ethical approach to it there.
Well, we have another caller that we're going to end on, and then we'll take a break. But let's talk to this call-in.
Okay.
Hello, welcome. You're with Joan on the Joan Jerkovich Show, and here with Psychic Cynthia. Do you have a question for Cynthia?
Yeah. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi.
just recently lost my job, and I had a roommate move in with me. So, like, my roommate's kind of carrying, like, the load on the financial burden, and I was wondering, like, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of thinking that I might end up homeless here pretty soon if the roommate situation doesn't pan out, and I'm kind of nervous about what to expect.
Hun, when I move into your energy, I mean, first of all, I think you already know this roommate situation isn't working out. It's not going anywhere. And unfortunately, I just have to say, yeah, that's right. It's not going to go anywhere good, at least. However, one of the things that I'm feeling around you is the energy of a woman. And I have to admit, I can't tell if this is a woman in spirit who's already gone on or a woman who's still here. But I feel like that someone is going to help you in this housing situation. Probably the way things are going, you may have to leave your current housing, but I do feel like there's going to be a woman who's able to help you. So if I were in your situation, I would start thinking about who you know of the female gender that might be able to assist you. And I really think strongly it might be your mother.
Okay.
So call your mother. Is your mother still in the physical, or has she gone on?
Yeah, she's still alive.
You know, call her, talk to her about this. What I'm hearing from the spirits, these are the exact 2 words: crisis management. So now is the time to act. You want to avoid further pain, further crisis. You need to reach out for help now. The roommate is probably not helping too much, but is actually draining your resources.
Yeah, I think so.
So talk to Mom. I think that this could be helpful for you. That's what I would say. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand. I appreciate this very much.
You know, I do think things can turn around for you, and I know today they're at a very low point, but what I'm seeing more long-term in the future is that this is just a temporary bleep on your radar screen, and things are going to turn around, and you're going to be quite successful financially.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, caller. That was a wonderful reading from you, Cynthia, and we're going to have to take a short break, but stay tuned. This is Joan with the Joan Jerkovich Show. We'll be right back.
So empathetic there. I mean, you're just like...
I have to give my ears a rest.
Yeah. I mean, I could sense his sort of desperation or something, it seemed. I mean, like you said, a real low point. And I think that was something that you really gave him a lot of hope. Paul, did I miss any cues that we had callers, or were they slow coming in? Put your little sign here if there's someone. That way I can see it better.
I don't know.
That was it? Is there another one holding? Okay. Just never quite know. How many minutes did that end up going?
It was 22 and a half.
Okay. So we'll...
But I'm just going to keep the sound running so we can sync it up with the video.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to go ahead and we'll do a 10, and then I'll drop that other one down to a 7 if we go over. But that was just a really great... I felt that energy again too, Cynthia. That's interesting to me.
There's a lot of energy exchange, and it does take a lot out of us to do this kind of work.
I wondered about that.
We can talk about that on there if you want.
Let's go back up and go ahead and talk, and hopefully we'll have some more callers. There's something kind of new for us to know where to even go to put the word out. And we're going to do 10, Paul.
Okay.
Well, we're back, and this is Joan with the Joan Jerkovich Show. We're back talking with Cynthia Killian, the spiritual psychic. And we've had a couple of callers call in, and she's done a couple readings for us. And again, be sure you go to watch the video on joanjerkovich.com, and you'll get a sense for how she looks while she's doing the reading. I see this kind of sense of, quiet and calm go over her so she can tap into the people's energy. And when you were saying that, there's a lot of, Cynthia, you said in our little break here that there is a lot of energy exchange, and it can take a lot out of you. Tell us more about that.
It's difficult to explain exactly what happens, but it's as if when most of us psychics do readings, it's as if we are a channel for higher energy, And that can be very taxing on the physical body. That is why we have to keep in shape. If we don't, then we will easily get overweight or have illness. And it's a old joke among us psychics. They even have T-shirts that say, "I used to be a psychic medium," because they call us that. But now I'm a psychic large.
Okay. I kind of could get where you were going with that.
Right. And if you look at a lot of the old-time psychics, that is almost traditional, almost a cliche that they would be overweight or have health problems. And part of that is if they haven't made that extra effort to keep up with it, because it is taxing on the body. It can be.
And so is the eating this, and I just had to think of Sylvia Brown. I know you know who she is because she's made so famous on the Montel Williams show. Do you think she's authentic? I'm just asking.
I have not personally met her, so I can't comment. I'm always very hesitant to comment if I haven't actually met the person. I would say there's a good chance that she's authentic, though.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, she's certainly a successful person with her books and her writing and all of course, what Montel had done for her on his show. But when you comment about the weight, what little bit I've heard from her, heard about her, I have read a couple of her books. She's had a struggle with her weight.
It's very common among psychics.
And is it nervous eating, or what is it? Is it just kind of like stress eating, or?
No, what happens is when we do our work, especially, but all the time, we're always tuning into energies, and that actually takes a lot of calories and energies out of the body. It makes you very hungry. And so some of it might be if you eat basically to come back to a physical awareness. If you eat so you can feel you're in this world.
Oh.
And a lot of psychics do.
That's interesting.
And then if you're also doing that and not eating healthier,
right,
lower calorie foods or lower fat, then that will compound the problem. For me, obviously, I don't have a weight problem, but probably that's because I'm very physically active. I love to dance. I love to walk. And I've always loved those things. I've done yoga every day for almost 15 years. So that helps to keep my body regulated. But even now, say, after this weekend, after I'll teach my psychic workshop, which even though it's not a reading, just going into those dimensions, it will still make me extremely ravished. And afterwards, I'll want to go eat a lot of food. And so I have to be aware of that and also make good choices in what I'm eating. And of course, I'm not trying to give nutritional advice, but I do want all of our listeners and our viewers to know that if you are a person who is, like you described yourself, you're an empath, you respond to the emotions of people around you. If you're a person who's in tune that way, or you have strong intuition, if you're just more sensitive to energies, you will probably find that you might have a little bit of this habit. So it's good to be aware of it.
That's really interesting that you said that. And I think what I'm pulling out of this too is where when you get yourself into this state to do a reading, as well as other psychics who are doing this, they have to use something to get themselves back into the physical world.
Yes.
And food can sometimes be that.
Yes, but it's not the best choice.
No.
It's really not overall long term.
Causes you to be a psychic large instead of a psychic medium.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other
what
part,
other things might you be able to do? And it was interesting you called me an empath. No one's ever called me that. I'll take that gladly. But what other things might someone do who has maybe even just in the workplace for the day, someone comes in with a real toxic energy that you want to brush off? What can we do?
Well, there's many techniques, and that's what I teach in my class, but here's just something really easy, and Shaman Jim would even tell you this. Just go outside and touch a tree or touch a rock or touch the ground.
Really?
And instantly you will connect back.
Centering, grounding. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And sometimes it can be as easy as just touching something in your environment, touching
And you
counter.
have to do that with your hands. You can't necessarily just walk outside because you obviously are grounded with your feet.
Well, that helps. Just walking outside helps, but you will instantly be jolted back in when you touch with your hands. And the reason for that actually is that there are energy centers in the hands. They are receivers. And as soon as they touch something, they're going to receive that energy in. So if they touch the tree or touch a rock, or even if you can't get outside, touch something made of wood. Have a little crystal inside.
Well, I was going to say that. Can you have a rock that sits on your desk?
Yes.
You know, say you can't just go walking, all of a sudden, it's not your coffee break time at work, but you're walking outside to touch a tree or something.